Okay, we are here again. Welcome everyone to our broadcast, Two Sides of the Same Coin. We have an esteemed guest today. We'll be introducing her shortly. But Roy, who else do we have in the studio with us today?
Yeah, this is Roy. Peace. We have Lawana with us to my left,
Hello,
joining us
everyone.
again, and then we also have Sway.
Hey,
She's
babe.
with us,
What's
and
up, Sway?
What's up, Sway?
she's with us, and so we're looking forward to her contributing today with us. And but we also have Elia with us, and so we're excited to have Elia
Bean.
being with us. Okay, there she
Hi
is. There's the
there.
lovely Elia.
Hello,
Uh,
hello.
uh, she, Elia is a hypnotherapist, a life regressionist. She's an actress. She's a model, as you can see. She's an artist, and she has beautiful children as well. And so we're excited to welcome her, and we're looking forward to hearing her share hypnotherapy with us, what that's all about. And so let's all welcome Elia,
Hi,
Okay, Elia Bean,
Elliot.
everybody.
Elia Bean.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
We,
you.
we have a fun show, Elia. We've got a array of questions for you that speaks about your therapy, some of your life experiences. Some of these are pretty interesting from what we've talked about in our pre-interview show. But we're looking forward to getting into all of this. Uh, Sway's got a series of questions that she's prepared for the team, and mainly Luana's got a few herself coming in
Awesome.
here with what she has to say. Luana's got some. I'm really curious to know what your questions are, Luana. So let's get into the show, everyone, with Elia. Let's start off right off the bat. Sway, you've got a couple of questions that you want to start off right away and get Elia involved. Go ahead.
Yes, so Elia, I want to ask, what made you get into psychology? And then how was that journey of getting into hypnosis and hypnotherapy?
Thank you. I explained earlier, I went back to school because of my own marriage. And I was trying to find, my own answers to why, why I have gone through that and what I could do to improve and, myself and also help others too. And so I started going to therapy myself. And that was more than 10 years ago, but I started going to therapy myself and I decided to go back to school and and just finish my degree that I never finished before because I got married when I was 19 and I started having my kids when I was 22. So yeah, it's a whole series of different, all this scenarios, but everything really brought me into who I am now, and I'm grateful for every single experience that I had during that time, even though
Mm-hmm.
some of them were very difficult. But it actually, I feel like it really helps me to connect to my clients even more at a deeper level because I understand their pain. So
Hmm.
Mm,
when they come to me and they're going through divorce or they're thinking about getting divorced, it's like I understand exactly what they're going through. I understand the frustration, the pain, everything that involves in going through a difficult divorce. And
mm-hmm,
So,
so
oh, go ahead.
go
Oh,
ahead, go
mm-hmm.
ahead.
sorry. I was saying that. So, you share uh, part of your therapy is. Do you share your own life experience in these sessions, or are you
I,
pretty much just working with just what they're going through? Because obviously, you're using your
correct,
background as part of your interest and
correct.
passion for what you do.
Absolutely, yes. So my own background is just for me to be able to identify what they're dealing with. So they come, sit down in front of me, they're talking, and I already know exactly what they're going through, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. And so in that moment, I can make a plan for them, and I tell them, okay, we're gonna take 4 weeks or 4 months, but this is how we're going to work. This is the plan, because we have to have an action plan to be able to improve, right, and to be able to
Mm-hmm.
uh, have that change of mindset.
Mhm.
and more than anything to delete the old program and reprogram our mind with a new and improved updated program. And
Mhm.
so that's what I help them with, and so
Mhm.
that's why I'm so passionate about hypnotherapy, because you can go directly into the root cause in one session rather
Mhm.
than going to therapy for months and months and months until maybe you scrape a little bit of the surface of what is deeper. And but with hypnosis and regression therapy, we're able to go deeper and access that part of our subconscious
Mhm.
mind to give us the answer of
S-
why
So,
what happened. Hmm.
so Elia, when you say regression therapy, that's a component to the hypnotherapy.
Yes.
Explain to us a little more. What is regression? What's that component? What does that involve? The regression part, is that going back? How
Hmm.
do you explain what regression? That
Yes, so
regression.
regression therapy. So let's say we want to do inner child healing, right? And so with regression therapy, we can go back to the exact. It's almost like going into a time machine, okay?
Mm,
And it's like you're traveling to the past to
mm-hmm,
extract information back into your present self and understand exactly what happened at what point, what day, how old were you, and and everything that happened, that maybe that trigger has come out now to the surface, and now you're experiencing your nervous system. It's it's starting to fail, right? So it's starting to show all those signs of anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts and all these other
mm,
things that we start experiencing because our nervous system is so ready to heal. And so
mm,
it's sending those signals to the body, and it's telling the body, it's telling you that it's time to heal, that to let it
mm,
go. So
mm,
that's what I found in my own practice of personal experience. I practice with other hypnotherapists, and I do this constant almost like self training, and like training with with another therapist or other therapists, and we're able to kind of start always evolving. Like for
mm,
me, it was always that thing of what's next, what's next, and how can I make it more efficient for my clients? How can I help them to see clearly, to experience that change of heart and change of mind, like right away, where they can just go deep into the root cause and
mm,
understand it, and
mm,
understanding is power.
mm.
That's what
Elliot,
I.
let
oh, go ahead.
I
Yeah.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question for you.
Yes.
So when you say you do the regression therapy and you're able to take individual back to their childhood, are you able to help them deal with the trauma and come up with a solution so that they're not because
Exactly.
people, I feel like if you don't get therapy, and I believe in it. I believe in it wholeheartedly. I feel like if you don't get therapy for your past trauma, it's gonna come out in some kind of way, in a negative way. Eventually, you're gonna
Absolutely.
break. So my question would be the individual that you help deal with their childhood trauma. Do you come up with a solution to help them to be able to kind of like to put it to bed so they're not constantly thinking back on it and
Hmm.
getting depressed and suicidal? So you do
Yes.
come up with a solution to help those
Absolutely.
individuals.
Mhm.
I guess I just want
Absolutely.
to add on that before I is it because do you feel it's repressed and that's why they have to bring it to light because it's hidden and they don't know it's what's bothering them the
Yes,
most?
Mhm,
exactly.
Okay.
It's repressed into the subconscious mind.
mhm,
So
Mm-hmm.
the subconscious mind is the part of the brain that has the answer to everything.
mhm,
It's like right now we're moving through this at a 5% of our brain, which is the conscious mind. But really, the subconscious mind is the other part of the 95% of our brain that has the answer to everything. And
Mm,
so when we are able to go into the subconscious mind, then we can easily go back in time and find out when that trauma was caused. when the anxiety started and why, and what is really there deeper, that it's dying to come out, that it's
Mm.
dying to heal. Because at the end of the day, it's the inner child that is really dying to heal, that is exhausted, being carrying that pain with him or
Mhm.
with her. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mhm.
come on, please, it's time to let it go. It's like,
Mm.
please, like, how, what do I need to do for you to listen to me, for you
Mhm.
to take care of me, for you
Mhm.
to recognize that I am enough, that I am
Mhm.
lovable, that I'm,
Mm.
that I'm
Mhm.
worth it, that I'm all these things. And so
Mhm. Mhm.
when we do that inner child healing, so that's where we come up with the plan of practicing self love, because at
Mm-hmm.
the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's a practice, right? So that's why I call
Mhm.
myself, I'm a practitioner, because
Right.
I there's something that I practice with myself, but I teach my clients to practice too, so that
Mhm.
it becomes a habit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Sway, you got another question?
Yeah, I have a lot. I don't even know where to start.
Okay.
I guess one, can you do sessions like virtual? Would you say you would want to have like a one-on-one in person?
Yes. So most of my clients, probably 95% of my clients are virtual. I have clients all over the world. I have clients in the US. I have clients here in Mexico. I have clients in Europe, and so um, Australia, it doesn't really matter, because just like right now, we'll be able to communicate through our cameras to our
Right.
phones, and that is the beauty of technology. When we
Mhm.
use technology for for good, for communicating and doing all these great
Mhm.
things, absolutely, I'm able to work with my clients through, even if
Yeah.
I'm on the go and I only have my
Right.
phone with me, I'm still able to do a FaceTime call with them if they
Right.
need me. Yes.
Yeah. A number of practices are doing what is called telehealth,
Hmm.
where they're even doing nursing and those
Mm-hmm.
diagnosing to some extent, I guess, from afar.
Was
Interesting.
this all born out of
COVID.
COVID when all of this started taking place in terms of how that affected office
Yeah.
visits and
Yes.
whatnot?
Most.
Tell us a little bit about what that was like.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the thing, is that before COVID, I wasn't practicing as a therapist. I was more focused on my. I had a business in Mexico. I had a business partner in Mexico. I was also focusing more on my artistic career.
Mm.
And I was doing more of that stuff, and I was doing great. I was doing absolutely great. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit us, and honestly, I felt like everything just came down crumbling, and that I
Mm.
lost everything. I lost
Mm.
everything, but I understand why now, because it was part of my old self that needed to completely crumble and die, so that I could be reborn. So that,
Mm.
and I feel like that's what's happening a lot right now in in this planet, in this society. All
Mhm.
those old systems are just starting to crumble down, and so all
Right.
we see is the bad right now,
Right.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, everything is bad, everything, it's going to, we're gonna all die, and this planet is gonna explode, and all this stuff. But it's
Yeah.
not. It's not.
Mhm.
It's really what's happening is just that the earth is also shifting too, and so as
Mhm.
just as we experience healing, the earth is also an entity, and it has to experience that healing too. And so,
Mhm.
I always say, before it gets better, it gets worse.
Mhm.
And but it's gonna get better,
So you're
Mhm.
saying COVID a large factor in this rebirth? You
Yes.
think just in society as a whole, and as well as in
Yes.
your own life, well,
Yes.
you're looking at that
Absolutely.
as part of what took place.
Mhm.
A
Uh,
hundred percent. I mean, you
Mhm.
see even the statistics of how, people, because of COVID, they experience, high levels of anxiety and stress and social anxiety and all this, things that, but the truth is that it was already there. It just
Mhm.
wasn't. It just COVID just kind of brought it up to the surface,
Mhm.
and again, it was part of part of the plan, so that
Mm.
people could start working on themselves, so that
Right.
people could start doing the inner healing work.
Mhm.
Would
And
you say that, not to cut you off, but I feel like COVID brought out a lot of suicide. There was so much suicide was up at a high rate. It's
yes.
like the pressure that they might have been already experiencing. I feel
Hmm.
like once we got closed off from the world the way we
Yes.
did, it just brought out something that I mean, I've never seen so many people commit suicide
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
or
Mhm.
And
attempting to
that is
commit suicide.
uh, yes, and that is the again, that's just the thing that you know, people just everything just came up to the surface.
Hmm.
And those that were
Mhm.
walking around with a smile and pretending they were okay,
Weren't.
the reality is that we're not, right? And
Mhm.
Yes.
so we're seeing that now, and we can learn from the from those that in some way gave their life so
Mhm.
that others could start doing the work. That's
Mhm.
how I see it. So that in a way that we can also honor, those that lost their life
Yes.
because
Mhm.
of suicidal, so that
Mhm.
we can start making more conscious decisions
Hmm.
in
Mhm.
our mental health too, and
Mhm.
understand being honest with ourselves, right?
Mhm.
And being honest and be like, you know what? Yeah, I need help. I need professional help. I really need to start working. Especially I would say men. Men have a
Mhm.
hard
Oh yeah.
time. Men have a harder time because for the longest time, um, men didn't really have that male, you know, that person, that male, really that was there to teach them how to communicate, how to be
Hmm.
loving, how to, express yourself, cry if you need to cry. And it
Hmm.
was
Mhm.
completely the opposite. It's like,
Mhm.
no, you don't, you're a man, be
Mhm.
a
Don't
man, don't
cry.
Well,
And
cry.
we're
yeah.
socialized to behave that way,
Yes,
though. Even when we're
yes,
little, if you fall and scrape
exactly.
your knee or whatever, don't cry.
Yes,
That's what little
yes,
girls do, and so on and
yes,
so forth. Yeah,
absolutely.
so that's a
Yes.
byproduct of just the way we're
Mhm.
raised.
Absolutely.
So,
And
so,
so,
Right.
mhm, yeah, and
so
that is the answer to many of men
Mhm.
childhood trauma.
Mm.
Yes.
It's like most
Yes.
of my clients that are men, they
Mhm.
almost come up with the same answer.
Mhm.
It's,
Trauma bond.
my dad didn't let me,
Mm.
my dad wouldn't hug me when I would fall or
Mm.
scrape my knee. Instead I
Mhm.
would get spanked. I would get, I
Mm.
mean, imagine how traumatic that was for
Yeah.
a little 4-year-old to that wants to be protected and feel safe and feel love in that moment, and instead he or she is getting, a spanking and
Mhm.
and almost shame, shame for
Mhm.
feeling.
Mm. So when you have sessions, male versus female, if you have a male session as opposed to a female session, is there a different approach to it, or do you kind of take the same approach when you get in that initial session with that respective person, a party? You
Um, right. There's really no difference at all.
okay?
But I do tell, with men, I try to be a little bit more. I almost have to be even more careful with them
Mm.
because they're, I don't want to say they're more scared, but they don't feel safe to either,
Hmm.
and they haven't been feeling being able to feel safe.
Mm.
And I wrote this quote once that says, boys need to feel safe too."
Mm.
Mm.
They do.
They
I
Mhm.
do.
agree.
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
they do.
And so with them, it's almost like I almost have to be even more like, careful with them because so much of them has been damaged that
Mm.
now it's like they're really, they're coming, they have the anxiety because they're not able to calm down that little boy inside.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay,
Yes.
Wonderful.
that's quite
Sway, you've got
insightful.
another.
She's got another one.
Sway's got another
She's got
question.
another one.
Yes, she
She's
does.
got I was gonna say, just by listening to you and the way you use your word, would you consider yourself spiritual?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I
A
love
hundred
Do
it.
you
percent.
do you put that into practice with your therapy, or is that separate?
Is
Yes.
that a
Yes.
private?
So like I said earlier, I don't know if you heard me, but I believe in science and I believe in
Hmm.
spirituality, and I believe that they both go hand to
Yeah.
hand, and they do have to come hand to hand.
Mm.
Because everything has to be in alignment, right? And that's why the in the body we need to have that balance of between the body, the spirit, and the 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 soul, the energetic, everything, right? Everything is it's it's like we are a universe. There's like a
Hmm.
universe inside us. And so when people talk about their body as a temple, it most of them, they don't really understand what it means that their body is a temple. And so when they understand that, then you're able to match everything, the body, the temple, it's um and the spirit, because you understand that the body is just a vehicle. You are not the
Hmm.
body, but the body is very, very important because
Hmm.
we need it so that it holds our spirit, so that we can
Right.
have this physical, this human experience.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm. So when you're counseling clients or couples, let's just say married couples, uh, what typically do you come across when they're coming to go to hypnotherapy? What are they looking for as a couple in hypnotherapy?
And is that a
Absolutely.
common practice?
And
And
is that
is that a
common
common practice in your relationship?
in your
Yes.
Part of your
practice? Yeah.
practice, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes. They come, what has come for most of my clients that come as couples,
Hmm.
it's communication,
Hmm.
changing
Okay.
their communication skills, because for so long they have been communicating the wrong way. For so long they have been communicating in a very toxic way. And
Mm.
so, again, once again, it's changing that program, deleting that old program, the old beliefs of how they used to communicate before, because they're following the same patterns of their parents, and they grew up listening to their parents screaming at each other and fighting, and the dad was always cheating on the mom, and the mom was okay with it, but deep
Mhm.
down she was always suffering depression. And so all of that is coming out now, and this is why we saying that this generation is the generation where the trauma stops. All that change that has been coming along from generation to generation, it's stopping now. And a
Mm.
lot more people are doing the work, and they're saying, the pain, the trauma stops with me. And from
Mm.
now on, 7 generations ahead, starting with me, my children, and children of my children, they're going to be healed.
Hmm.
Mm. That's wonderful.
Okay,
Yes.
Sway, moving right along.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I really do like how you said that this is the generation where it's kind of stopping, because I do hear a lot of older people say that our generation is also so emotional. So I agree with that, because I feel like we're finally starting to like find our voices and let people know,
Hmm.
like, not only are we dealing with our trauma, we're also dealing with the trauma when we was even in the woman's
Yes.
womb and all the stuff that
Hmm.
she had to go through. So I really do like how you said that. And then another question I will have is like, do you teach self hypnosis?
Um, well, I would say self hypnosis, anyone can do that. And it's about meditation. It's about going deep in a very deeper state of meditation. And it's very, very important. It's something that we have to do. It has to become part of our practice,
Mhm.
because that way we are able to stay connected to a higher self, super conscious, your spirit guides, your angels,
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it, God, source. But you will stay connected to that source, and through meditation. And in some ways, that is a form of self hypnosis. So when we are able to do that, we're able to, stay in communication. I guess in the Bible, you will say you stay in communion with God.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I was looking at one of your videos yesterday, and you were talking about how you healed your self, cured yourself through hypnosis from sugar.
Yes.
Was it sugar? You had addiction to sugar, and then it was
Y-
something else that you said. But I came across a few of your videos, but I know I was curious about the
Yes.
sugar. You
Yes. Yes. So when I started my practice as a
Help me. Help
hypnotherapist,
me.
Help us all.
I
Come on.
Help us all.
I yes, I started working with people that wanted to quit smoking, that wanted to lose weight, and so I created a weight loss program with hypnosis. And
Wait,
and
I
wait,
need
wait,
that.
Elia. You wait a minute. You said you created a weight loss program through
Hypnosis?
hypnosis.
with hypnosis, yes,
Oh
Mm.
wow.
yes,
Interesting.
Is it self
yes.
hypnosis or is it a practice that you would
This is
hypnotize that
this is
person?
I will hypnotize them, yes,
Mm.
because it's really not what you eat. Because some people would come and be like, "Hey, I this is what I eat. I don't really eat that much. I don't eat it. I don't really eat all this all this food. I've been trying to make better choices and all that, but it's so oftentimes it's not necessarily what you eat, but what's eating you inside,
Wow.
and
Oh,
and
really?
that
I like
what
that. I
it
like
stays
that.
in there, it stays in the body, right? So I also practice a lot of I'm a very holistic practitioner, and so I practice breath work with my clients throughout the session too. And
Mm.
the reason why I do that is because through breath work, it's we're able to move, to let all the energy flow through through our body, our
Mhm.
chi, right? So
Mhm.
it's we're able to move that, and we're also uh, there is that energetic memory of that trauma, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
so let's say you have trauma related to feeling sad and depressed, and so that sadness, which most people might feel it, right? Emotions, you might
Mhm.
feel it on this area of your stomach,
Mhm.
and shame and all that stuff. And so these are adults that were children, that they would be shamed for what they were eating. They would be shamed
Mm.
for not eating enough, or eating too much, and they would be shamed for the way they looked, and all these things. And so they grew up with that idea of being protected, of putting this protecting wall, which it actually comes out, and I guess it comes out in the physical form of that extra weight, because
Oh.
it's that weight of you protecting your body, it's that way
Mm.
that you're protecting yourself.
Mm. Hmm.
Yes.
Mm.
That's wonderful.
Mm.
Yeah.
So do you if they're if you're when they're going through some sort of a trance or hypnosis,
Mhm.
is it curbing their appetite, or what is it? What's the effect in terms of getting them to lose weight? I'm just, or not to use
Yes.
sugar or whatever.
I mean,
What what's the effect?
because you're
So
gonna come out of a
let
hypnotic
me
state.
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
When they
Yeah, so let me kind of give you a little bit of how a session
sure.
goes, right? So the first part is the first 5 minutes is the induction, the hypnosis,
Okay.
right? Where I use hypnosis to put the person in the induced hypnosis. And then the second part is the regression part. So that's the part where I become the investigator. I'm asking all these questions to find out the root cause of the issue. And then the third part is the healing part. And so that's the part where I use different modalities. I use breath work, I use energy healing, inner child healing. And then the last part, I use NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And so that's the part where I create a script that it's a new program, so that they start losing weight, so that they
Mhm.
um, become more like one thing that every of my clients remembers when they're sitting down at the table is that they remember in their head They remember me, my voice playing in their head saying, "Your stomach is the size of your fist." And so you make a fist, you look at your fist, and that's all you eat from your plate. And
Hmm.
so they're able to start making those, changes. One time, okay, this is when I first started working with clients that wanted to lose weight. I used to make a recording for them, and they would have to listen to it for 21 days. I changed that eventually. I realized that it wasn't really quite necessary, but for the first part, I did it, and so they were listening to it, and I made a mistake that instead of saying you're going to love to work out 3 times a week, I said 3 times a day. And so this client comes to me the next time and she said, I don't know why, but I have all this energy and I'm feeling so energetic and I'm working out 3 times a day. And I was like, oh, okay, let me listen to your recording. So I listened to the recording and it said, I made the mistake that said, for now you're gonna love to work, you're gonna feel super energetic and you're gonna work out, 3 times a day and do 30 minutes of 3 times a day. And so instead of saying 30 minutes, 3 times a week,
Mhm.
right? And so but anyway, so she wasn't complaining. She was happy. She was actually
Mhm.
surprised of how she was able to push herself to work out, 3 times a day when
Mm.
Did
she
you
wasn't
Oh,
did
even.
you did
you
you
visualize
did
her.
you keep her in that?
In that state
No,
of
In
no,
that
no, 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 no. I changed that. I changed that eventually. Yes, I changed that that same day. I sent her a new recording.
so a little
Mhm.
Uh,
adjustment in the
but
treatment.
yeah,
Okay.
yes,
A
yes,
little adjustment.
yes.
So
But
people really, they really
mhm,
get indoctrinated in their mind what you tell them through that process doing
right.
hypnosis, and so they actually come away with that really in
Yes.
their mindset at that
Yes,
point where they
because
react to it.
absolutely, because when we are in that theta brainwave, which is hypnosis, and it's
Hmm.
also during REM, rapid eye movement, that is a very suggestible state of mind. And that, I mean, now there's research that show that children 0 to 7, we are in that state of mind of theta brainwave, which means that we are being hypnotized 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what is very important to what we let our children watch on TV, what they're
I
watching,
believe
what
that.
they're listening to, because they are literally, their brain is very suggestible to, everything, to information. And so that
Hmm.
since the brain learns by repetition, you know, uh, we got to be careful, what we're really teaching them.
Mm.
Yes.
So
Have you
I would ascertain from that then that if they have trauma at that early of an age, it sticks with them throughout
Hmm.
their lives and
It
it
does.
affects their lives because, like you said,
Exactly.
they're getting all that
Mhm. Yes,
or
because
mind
it's
indoctrination.
constantly playing, right? It's constantly playing,
Hmm.
and there it's like they're recording. The recording is
Hmm.
just reinforcing it. And so
Hmm.
they're learning and learning and learning the same thing over and over. So yeah, that's why it becomes more difficult to heal all of that trauma once they are an adult because
Mm.
it's
Really.
already a habit now engraved in their subconscious mind. But it's not impossible to get rid of it either. It's
Hmm.
just you got to be open to do the healing, to do the work, and to go really deeper into. And for some people, it's not really necessary to go back and see what happened, because
Right.
also the mind is so brilliant that the mind will protect you too. It's their job. It's its job.
Mhm.
The job of the mind
Hmm.
is to keep you safe, to keep you protected. And
are
Mm.
there
so if you're not ready, hmm
I'm sorry. I was going to ask you a different kind of question. Are there times when you've tried to hypnotize somebody and it just didn't work?
yes, yes. And again, that has to do with the very analytical mind, right? And so the very
Mm.
analytical mind, it's the mind that we need to kind of like put it to rest, put it to
Hmm.
rest. And so that's what we encourage the practice of meditation, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can calm the analytical mind down.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able just to go more inward, and and really go deep to the root cause.
See,
Mm.
I fall in that category. I think well, I wouldn't we say we're kind of a little bit, a little more
Yeah, I've got
very
stories.
analytical. I
I've
don't
got
know
stories about that.
if
Yeah,
I'm
but it's not
practicing
impossible.
hypnosis, but
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
But
but it's not
meditation is the way to
impossible.
is the
Yeah,
path.
yes. And
Meditation.
and so what I do with most of those clients, which are again they're men, we practice more breath
Most of
work.
them are
We
men.
practice, yes,
Most of them are men.
yes,
Most of them are men. Okay.
yes, because well, there's different reasons, but one of them is that they're kind of scared that to be open, to be vulnerable. They're
Right.
scared of
Mm-hmm.
it, and so their nervous system is it's hard for them to calm it down.
Mm-hmm.
And since
Well,
they, yeah,
well,
go
well,
ahead.
let me ask you that question on the Venus versus Mars. Men process things through reason, and women
Mm-hmm.
tend to process things through
Through
emotion.
emotion.
So, do you
Correct.
think that comes into play when they're addressing these issues, that they're trying to process it through a reasonable state of mind versus
Right.
feelings?
Because a reasonable
Yes.
person tends to be very analytical,
Yes.
opposed to just
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
also more focused on being in control.
Yes.
When
And in
men,
denial.
Absolutely.
well, denial is a different. But I'm
They,
just saying, if you're
Yeah, but I would say
they be in
100% in
denial.
control. Yeah, they want to
yeah,
be in
control,
control, and so they feel that if I'm getting access to their mind, that they're going to lose control. But it's actually
Mm-hmm.
the opposite, right? So I
Right.
always that's why I'm saying I'm always more careful with men, because I really have a sit down talk with them and explain to them exactly what hypnosis is, what could happen and what could never happen, so like I would never be able to control their mind or make them do something that they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do, so
Mm-hmm.
I have to be very uh, I have to really explain it to them, so that they're able to calm down and be like, oh, okay, so I'm not gonna lose my mind, I'm not gonna lose myself, I'm not gonna lose control, I'm gonna be in control of it the whole time. And so once
Mm-hmm.
they understand that, they're like, oh, okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's okay for me to relax, it's okay for me
Mm-hmm.
to relax. It's
I
almost
have
like
a.
they have to give permission to themselves to relax.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any hope for a person that's a narcissist? There's so many different levels of
Yes.
narcissistic people. I think everybody got a little narcissism in them, but is there any hope to a person that's like over the top, just just gone as a narcissist? Like, is there any saving them?
God. Okay. I would say I have
Do
different
you
opinions
have
on
someone
that.
in mind you're talking about, or
Yes.
No, I just know. I just
you
have.
talking about somebody? No.
I
So
have
go ahead.
different opinions with that. I remember, so I trained with Marisa Pierre. She's the
Uh,
number one hypnotherapist in the UK. And I
Mm.
remember she mentioned in one of her trainings, she said, we don't work with narcissistic people because those are
Mm.
yeah.
the ones that would sue you for malpractice,
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
even though you didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Right.
yeah, so
But
I
how do
have
you
a hard,
find how do you know that person is
Oh, you
narcissistic?
you you know.
How do
you would
how
know.
do you
Yeah,
You
discern
you would
that?
know.
you would know.
You would know.
So
Okay.
I have my first share of narcissistic relationships. So it's like
Mm.
I can read them now. I can smell them
Right.
now. It's like uh, it's like I had a master's degree in narcissistic people, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so I honestly I haven't really encountered anyone who has been narcissistic enough to want to do therapy, because somebody who is
Mm.
very that narcissistic doesn't believe in therapy, because first of all
Exactly.
they
Mm.
don't believe there's
Interesting.
anything wrong with them.
Wrong with them.
Right.
So why
Like
would they need
everyone else
therapy,
sees there's something wrong with them, but
Exactly. You
they don't
you
believe
are
there's
the
anything wrong
crazy
with them.
one, so you should go to
Yep. Yep.
therapy. I'm
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm perfectly fine, I'm perfectly fine. I don't
Exactly.
need therapy. So therapy is for
Mm-hmm.
crazy people.
Yep.
So So yeah, so no, I haven't really encountered anybody who's that, narcissistic to want to really work on themselves, you
Right.
know.
No, I just asked that because I have a few friends that have gone through divorce or separation or breakup, and and then my own personal experience, and I'm like, and I've been reading up on it and watching videos, and I'm like, God, these people are, they talk about their exes, like they really are narcissists, or narcissistic person. Like my girlfriend was telling me yesterday about a situation she was going through, and I'm like, oh my God, he's a narcissistic man. He's
Yeah,
narcissistic, and nothing you say gets through to them. It's like
right.
you could say the
Yeah,
sky is green and it's green, and they're gonna tell you no, it's purple. It's
yes.
sad.
Mm.
It's like
Yes,
there's
and
no
it's
saving them.
frustrating, right? It's very frustrating, but we have to understand that their
It's a
brain works
sickness.
different.
Is that a
I,
developed behavior, or is
uh,
that something
I
that?
would say it's a developed
Yeah.
behavior. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like, children they're not born narcissistic,
Mm.
you
No,
know,
Mhm.
that,
Mm.
children are not born like, evil and,
Mm.
no, they're the purest energy there is
right.
out there in the world, which is love. So
Mhm.
no, I don't believe that. I believe that it's a learned behavior.
Mm.
And I feel like the more and more I'm, kind of learn through my own experience and my clients' experiences,
Mhm.
is that I realized that somebody who is a narcissist is because they were never accountable for anything. Their moms
Mhm.
never really taught them about accountability, like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
hey, if you break it, you got to fix it or you got to pay for
Mhm.
it,
Right.
Mhm.
instead of they were always kind of like, oh, don't worry about it, I'll fix it for you,
Mhm.
or just leave it, we won't tell anybody, and run, so but when there's those mothers that say, oh no, honey, you broke it, you gotta say sorry, you gotta uh say
Own
sorry,
it.
you have to apologize for it, and you gotta
Mhm.
own it. Exactly, you
Mhm.
gotta own your shit. Yes.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
gotta
Right.
own it.
Yes. Yes.
Well said.
Great. Sway, you got another question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, is it pronounced hypnosis or hypnosis? Because I'm hearing you say that, and then we're all saying hypnosis. So is it hypnosis? Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, it's just my accent.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just my accent. Yeah, no, no, no.
Okay,
You're
then
you're
never
you're
mind.
pronouncing it perfectly.
I, I
Your
got a
pronunciation is perfect.
I got a
Okay.
question regarding hypnosis and hypnosis. My question is, okay, we talk about regression and hypnosis going back. What about people who are coming to you looking for something in the future? Do you do that? Do you tell them this is what I see for you down the line, or do you address that, or is that different from
Uh,
hypnosis? Is hypnosis mostly deal
uh,
with the past?
Hypnosis mostly deal with the past, but you know what? Regression therapy. Some practitioners don't call it regression therapy anymore. They just call it, like, I don't know, moving into time therapy, because really, some people are able to access their past and some people are able to access their future.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It's almost like, opening what some people call it, the Akashic records, and accessing the Akasha records, you have access to, it's like an ethereal library, and you're able to go in there and be like, oh, this is what's going on with me, and blah blah blah, and you get all this. I guess you could call it the book of life too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say too. But yes, it's you have access to that, so yeah, absolutely. Some people are able to access their future during a
Hmm.
session.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Do you feel
Yeah.
that uh, your practice is something that needs to be looked at or delved in more as a cure for a lot of the society's ills that's going on today?
Do we need more
Do we need
hypnotherapy?
more of this?
Yes.
That might be a solution. I mean, we all are products of our environments, obviously, and the
Right.
environments are constantly changing and
Yes.
evolving. And as a consequence of that,
Yes.
the generations that we have today are so different than the generations of the past because, again, they are a product of their environments, and the environments are constantly shifting. Culture is constantly
Hmm.
evolving on some level. How do you put hypnosis
Yes.
into that
How do you keep it
Yes.
as a
relevant?
cure or as a panacea for what's going on?
Well, I mean, people just have to really be a little bit more curious, be more curious
Hmm.
about it because
Hmm.
I feel that it's one of the future, it's like the future medicine. Really, it's
Mm.
part of the future medicine because when you heal the mind, you heal the body. And so
Hmm.
you don't really need any, crazy. I mean, we shouldn't be sick. We should not experience sickness because
Mm.
our bodies are, amazing, a miracle. It's a miracle. It's a
Right.
biomechanical machine that, is designed to heal itself. And
Mm.
so it's every 7 years, our body, our biochemistry, our cells, it gets regenerated. So we shouldn't be also experiencing aging the way we do. It
Mm.
should be
Hmm.
more gracefully. It should be,
Hmm.
like we should really experience more of this like youthful, look and feeling, feeling great
Hmm.
because if we didn't have to deal with all of that,
The
darkness that we
stress.
hold on to, the
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
stress, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so and also medication too. I'm a huge anti I don't know if I'm allowed to say it here, but I
Yeah.
just can't with medicine. I just can't
Hmm.
because
I
Hmm.
believe, yeah,
it's
I agree.
really
Well, that's
it's
part of the
really
holistic
ruined.
belief is self healing in terms of that, and not being uh, practiced with the
The
line,
natural way,
the natural, yeah, the
Right.
natural way.
natural
Yes,
remedies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
yes,
have a,
absolutely.
another question, and we delved into this a little bit, and if you want to share, please do. But you talked about a childhood experience you had that shaped your life in a physical way as well as an emotional and
Mm,
Did you?
health way.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk
yeah,
a little bit about that experience and where that took you and how it helped you
sure,
arrive
as
to the
long as
place you are
yeah.
today?
Of course, yes. So, what happened is that a few years ago, I did a test to check my cells to see if I had cervical cancer,
Mm.
and it came up abnormal. And so, but then they did, more testing, and they tested those cells, and then it came out, and they did I forgot what it's called, but it's a colonoscopy. And so
Mm.
they take a little sample of that the skin or whatever, and then they
Hmm.
test it to see if there's cancer cells in it, and it came out perfectly fine, right? And everything came out fine. But so then again, I have to do that every year, and every year is the same thing, and I already know the answer, but it's okay, right? So
Hmm.
this after this time, I decided not to do it anymore. But what happened is that after this last time I did it, I have my own hypnotherapist too. We exchange, like I said, we're constantly practicing on each other, and I asked the questions as why do I still have this? Why my cells come out abnormal, and then the result is like everything's fine. I don't have cancer. So during that session, I went back in time when I was around 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and I had an accident where I was, I don't know, I was jumping and I fell into something where I hit my private part, right? And my parents, I remember, even as I think I was 4, I still remember kind of like I could tell they were really worried, and they were worried that maybe I wasn't gonna be able to have babies. And
Mm-hmm.
so going back in that with that regression therapy, I was able to see myself in this that I had been taken that night, and I was taken into this ship, you know,
Mm.
and I was in this white room. It was all white, and it just looked very, very bright. And I could see this very light beams working on me with this
Mm.
type of kind of a like crystal light, and like the energy crystal lights, right? And so they were working on me, fixing me. And so
Mm.
what came up through that session is that when they answer back, they say that it was because I'm just a little bit different. That's it.
Mm.
So my test results are always gonna come out abnormal because I'm just a little bit different, but there's
Mm.
nothing wrong with me.
Mm.
Yeah.
What's amazing
So
about it
so I
again
have
is
that
that
experience.
you're able to go back and discover, you know,
Yeah.
what that was and what you experienced, and that it gives you
Right.
rest or peace now to know why you have what you have that you're dealing with. But now you know what the
Yeah.
answer is to it. That's amazing.
Mhm. Yes,
Mhm.
it is. It really is.
Any other
And I
questions,
mean, I
Sway?
have so many other experiences with that with other
Yeah, we
clients,
got,
but
we're gonna have to talk more about some of the
yes.
other ones. I know about about your accident, and that's almost
Yes.
another show altogether that I'm excited
Right.
to delve into with you, because that's
That's something we
amazing.
can all share with. Well, and
Yeah,
I can definitely share with you.
yeah, we'll shoosh,
Yes.
we got stories,
Yeah, we got
but
Yeah. Lots of paranormal activity, I guess.
yeah, we're gonna. So we got one more question for the lovely Elia. So you got one more question,
Sure.
Sway?
No, I'll say I don't have any more questions. Just listening to you speak, I feel like you're healing me.
I know, huh?
Honestly.
No,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I'm gonna be contacting you.
right.
I need to get
Yes.
I
Yes.
need to lose 20 pounds.
Well, we're gonna get it done. We're
I
gonna
need
do it.
to
Yes, we gotta get it done.
put
Yes.
down them brownies.
I
I don't know what they are. It could be brownies. It could be
I need to lose 20 pounds.
Cheerios. I don't know.
And I'm a type 2 diabetic. I
Oh,
became a type
Oh,
2
okay.
diabetic
Yes, and
in my
oh, wait.
diabetes.
late 40s.
Yes. So everything has, what I believe now is that every symptom has, every physical symptom has an emotional root. And what
Mm.
I
happens with
know.
diabetes is that it has to do with self-love. So
Oh,
when we
Really?
are not,
wow.
absolutely 100%, because when we are in, and I know also because my dad he was diabetic,
Uh,
and I did one session with him,
mm,
and he was, I mean, that night he wouldn't stop peeing, honestly,
Mm.
because his body was letting
cleansing
go so
itself.
much, cleansing.
Mm.
That night, he was the first night he was able to sleep without the lights on.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yes,
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
did that cure him from his
Yes,
what you're
he
saying is he
had
was
this
tripping that point?
horrible trauma since he was 2 years old.
Mm.
Mm, mm,
He
Wow. That's
experienced,
amazing.
a horrible, horrible experience when he was 2 years old,
Hmm.
and so that's why he didn't like dark, the darkness.
Hmm.
He had
He
a
was
phobia.
traumatized.
He
What
was
about his
completely
diabetes?
traumatized.
Was he able to get?
Yes, was able to completely. I mean, he's healthy. He's
Right.
healthy as, yes, yeah,
Amazing.
and he's
wow.
close to 80. I think.
Like,
Mm.
Honestly, I lost count of how old he is now, but yeah, he's pretty healthy, honestly, and yeah, he's
So you're saying your hypnotherapy, just for everybody to understand, your session with him cured him of his diabetes,
hmm
amongst other
yeah,
things? It
yeah,
was a cure.
absolutely,
Okay.
Amazing.
You
yeah.
hear that,
I could
Luana?
believe because you know what? I didn't get diagnosed with I became a diabetic after my sister died. It
hmm
was an
Yeah,
unexpected death, and it was very traumatizing.
right.
And
Oh,
a
absolutely.
year or two later, and that's why I can believe that it had something to do with, yeah, because I was
hundred
drinking
percent.
wine and I was depressed, and
Yeah,
so yeah, losing
exactly.
her, it was devastating. So I could
Yeah,
believe what you're saying.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. It
I,
has a lot to do with with the heart chakra too.
with the
Hmm.
what?
The heart chakra, there's just a lot of pain in there.
Oh
It
yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah. The body
It
Yeah,
aches.
is. It
yeah,
is. It
yeah,
really is.
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, I will
So
be contacting you
yes,
so we
absolutely,
can
absolutely.
talk and do some
I look
sessions.
forward to it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
Well, it's been lovely having you with us today, Elia, and we're looking forward to having you back
Yes.
right?
I would
Yes.
love to.
Yeah,
I
we-
would love to.
Yes.
We'll get into the paranormal too,
Yeah,
which I
that's what I'm really
absolutely love.
excited to
Oh, yeah,
touch
It's like
on.
I can't
Yeah.
speak normal anymore. It's like
Yeah.
And then we'll have you back on once you cure me, and I can attest to that.
There we
Like,
go.
you know,
Your
Absolutely.
testimony.
yes, my
Yeah.
testimony.
I would love to. Yes.
Well,
Yes,
again,
ma'am.
Absolutely.
we thank you so much for
Yes, we
gracing
thank
us
you,
with your
guys.
presence and your
It is a
I
pleasure.
knowledge
really appreciate you.
and,
I'm,
uh,
I'm
and
very
Thank you, guys.
and having a session with us here. So,
It, it definitely has been therapeutic.
Yes, it has.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
okay.
I'll be
so-
DM and I'll be on your DM. You're gonna be like,
Please.
oh, she's not.
Okay.
I
Yes,
promise you,
I
I
answer.
will.
I do answer in my
Okay.
DMs. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yes.
Elia.
Thank you so much.
you.
You're
We'll
welcome,
welcome
guys.
you again, and so we look forward to meeting and talking with you again. It's been wonderful. So,
Yes, it
It's been a
has.
pleasure.
sides of the same
Two
coin.
sides
We
to
out.
the
Sign the
coin.
same
Elliot.
Thank you.
coin.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.
All right.